I did 120 sales by myself one year, and that's the year I like my brain just short circuited. So, um, yeah, I mean that's the biggest kind of pivot there
The
is
biggest mindset shift, I guess.
that was my biggest mindset shift is like it's great, like I love the money and I love what I do, but it got to a point where it's just overloading. It just wasn't fun anymore.
Mm.
So that's where it was like, how do we fix that? Well, you need help.
Welcome to the Sold Right Away podcast, where realtors stop playing small and start marketing like top producers. I'm Maude Leger, real estate marketing strategist and business owner obsessed with one thing: helping realtors build brands that attract listings, generate leads, and actually convert. Every week, I sit down with top performing agents and industry leaders to break down what's really working in today's market. No fluff, no theory, just real conversations and strategies you can implement right away. If you're ready to stand out, scale intentionally, and win more business, you're in the right place. Let's get to work. That's why today I've brought on Curtis Burbee, a true self starter who had to innovate, rebuild, and restart his real estate business multiple times throughout his career. From starting from scratch in new markets to rising back up as a top producer again and again, Curtis proves that success in real estate isn't about luck. It's about strategy, grit, and the ability to adapt. If you ever wondered how to start your business, rebuild momentum, and grow back into a top producer, Curtis is here to share the strategies that made it possible. Let's get to my chat with Curtis. Hi, Curtis. Thanks for joining us on the episode today. Tell us about you and how did you arrive to real estate?
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Yeah, I mean, my journey was started with when I was very young, actually, and I was 19 years old. I lived in Prince George in British Columbia,
Mhm.
and I bought my first house. Maybe it wasn't quite 19. Maybe it was more like 20, but it was somewhere around there. I bought my first house, and before all my friends did, and it was just a basic, we call it a BC box, where it's just a rectangular house, nothing special, but it was mine and it was cheap, and it was cheap living. So
Yeah.
none of my friends had done the same, and so I put a suite in the basement right after I bought it. Cost me $14,000.
Okay.
I put a suite in the basement and it started generating revenue. And I was literally making money living at my house at like 20 years old. So,
Love it.
yeah, so, I got to buy a new car before all my friends because I didn't have any other bills. So it was kind of, it was just kind of how I got started in life. But from there, I liked the adrenaline, the feel of buying that house. So I bought more houses, and I bought a couple more. I don't know, I might over the course of 3 years or so, and I had three houses with one, two, three, four, five, six doors. So each house had two suites in it essentially.
Okay.
And I figured if I'm buying these houses, I might as well be selling it. So that's kind of where that led. And then I was also a techie guy, so I was doing computer work for a bunch of realtors in town, and one of them kind of became a bit of my mentor, and he kind of pushed me that way as well. So between buying houses and having a bit of a mentor, older father figure that said, "Oh, you'd be good at this," those two things together, I was like, "Yeah, like it's a no
Did you?
brainer." Yeah.
Yeah. Very
So
cool.
yeah.
And then now, fast forward to today, describe a little bit your journey. You became a realtor, and then you became a top producing realtor. So tell us, how did that happen?
Yeah, yeah, I've been all over actually. So not the usual realtor story. I
Okay.
find a lot of realtors, they get kind of stuck in their market. They start out and they get good, and everybody wants to use them. I mean, they're never going to leave. The money's too good at that point. It's to start fresh is that's a big ordeal. So, and I've started fresh a few times. So, I'm a little bit different in that story or in that sense, but started back in 2005. That's when I got licensed in June of 2005. So, we're on 21
Correct.
years here this year.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, so started in 2005. I worked with Remax for a couple of years. I was young. Nobody respected me. Um, the older realtors in my firm, I'd be going into CMAs. And as I'm walking in the door, the older realtor right beside me is walking out. So I'm like, well, how do I compete with that? Like, how's that? Obviously they're not going to list with me when I know that, Ken Goss with Remax was in there, 5 minutes before, and he owns half the town. So
Mm-hmm.
so that was a bit of a struggle. My direction, the way I dealt with that, and whether it was right or wrong, is I went to a discount brokerage. I felt that there was a really good one in town that they it wasn't like the whole get what you pay for. Like they were quality. Like they really were quality at a discounted rate, and I liked
Rare.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, I went there, and I went there because I figured, yeah, business would just come to me because we're just charging less. And sure enough, it's exactly what happened. Like, I didn't have to really put in a lot of effort for lead gen. The brokerage was very busy, so they were happy to share, a bunch of leads, and it got very, very busy very quickly. So, I started right at a very young age figuring out, what it looked like to be a bit really busy realtor. And I did that for a couple of years, and then just life happened. I met my now wife, and she was in university at the time. With her best job was available in Alberta, so we actually made a move to Alberta in '08, and then we moved to Grand Prairie, which is kind of a similar sized town to Prince George, but it's just in
Mm-hmm.
Alberta. She became a teacher, so she was fresh out of university doing that. And I actually left real estate for about a year and just did some other stuff. But from there, I started actually a discount brokerage because I liked how busy I was in Prince George. So I started my own. I right from the ground up, logos, like name, like you name it. Everything was fresh. They had just allowed us to do something called a mirror posting in BC that wasn't allowed previous to that year.
Okay.
So we took advantage of the mirror posting service, and we offered a discount brokerage where you could just post your listings and we would help you with the marketing, but it would actually hit MLS, and we weren't giving any service. And then what we found was people wanted the service. So then we started offering a discounted commission for basic services. And then what I found is they just all wanted that option. So then we got out of the mirror posting business and more into the discount real estate business. And that kind of went crazy. I mean, all the realtors in town were freaking out because, we were the first kind of discounter in town, and they didn't like that. So I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of a black sheep, but we pushed through. Um, and I mean, we got very busy very quickly. Obviously, again, just you don't have to do a lot of marketing when you're just offering a better rate. If you're doing a good job for people, word of mouth, like it goes quick,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're doing it for cheaper. So then what we found is, why eventually we got so busy. It's like, why are we doing this for cheaper? Like when we can just charge what everybody else is charging, we're providing just as good of a service, if not better. So, then we started to pivot a bit, and we ended up buying the Coldwell Banker franchise for Grand Prairie, which had kind of fizzled out. There used to be one, it died, and we kind of brought it back, and we started growing it, but we had kids, and like between the brokerage and having just having kids, what we found is the brokerage is like having a couple kids, and
Having
then
more kids.
when you have a couple kids, it's like now you got like basically split families where you have like both require just as much attention, and it just became too much. So we decided to pull out of the brokerage and move back to where we're from, or closer to, my wife's from Quesnel, which is just south of Prince George, and that's where we landed. So hour away from my hometown.
Okay.
So then we landed in Quesnel. We did become very busy in Grand Prairie. Busiest year, we sold about 120 listings. Just
Fantastic.
basically just me and my wife. We did have actually a buyer's agent at that point as well. So I guess three of us.
Okay.
When we got back to Quesnel, I expected to just take it easy, do some fishing. Maybe, if I hit six digits, I'd be happy, kind of thing. And that's not what happened at all. My first 6 months, I mean, think I hit six digits in the first 6 months. And I was like, in a small town, what?
Yeah.
So, and I came into a community that, like the market was very outdated. The
Okay.
realtors here were doing things, like it was done 20, 30 years ago, and they hadn't really adapted yet to new age marketing. So we just came in, and Grand Prairie was very, It was on top of that. It was very modern type of real estate done there.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to be really modern and good with tech and marketing to really do well there. So we took what we learned, we brought it to Quesnel, and then things just exploded like huge. So, people I think just appreciated that there was another option in town that, it wasn't built in Quesnel. It was built from somewhere else. And then all that experience came in, and then, all of a sudden it created kind of this new modern kind of way to do things. And people really like that. So, similar to the discount brokerage thing, where just because you charge lesser rate, people come to you. Well, because I was offering a different service, people just came. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
seemed to go hand in hand. So got established very quickly, realized that holy smokes, there's actually a ton of business in this town, that we didn't really, I guess, understand when we first came in, expecting it was
Yeah.
going to be kind of slower. And it just skyrocketed from there. We moved here in 2016 and it's 2026. We're on our 10th year here now.
Mm-hmm.
And every year has been, we just step up and up and up. I started in my first year, maybe I sold, 40, 50, next was 60, 70. And I just went up, 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 last year and the year before. I guess the last couple of years have been pretty steady. They're actually hovering around 120. So we're back to kind of Grand Prairie numbers.
Yeah.
And then this year, our goal is to hit 150 or more. I've expanded my team. We've taken on a very high level coaching. Our vision is to scale it out, maybe even into other markets eventually. But we feel that we have some really good systems built. I have an equal partner now that we do expense sharing with. And then we have a third buyer's agent. Plus, we have 2 people to do all our marketing. In terms of videos and photos and drone and stuff like that. I have a couple of freelancers that work on short form video for us, and we have a transaction coordinator that handles all the paperwork and stuff in the background, and then we have nope, I think I hit it all. That's it.
Yeah. You touched all the point from innovating to tech to processes and then having a team. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. So, and that the team was big because I did have some health issues back couple, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. Right after COVID started, I started having weird dizzy issues and that wouldn't go away. I was dizzy all day, every day, and it was very debilitating. I couldn't even really work as much as I could. So it was a bit of a scare. We figured out kind of what that was. It took a couple years, but I mean, basically boiled down to like just my body just didn't like the stress that it was under. So that's where the team kind of grew. So, then I kind of had a right hand buyer's agent that I had taken on. He was amazing. Our assistant that was working for us at the time became licensed. My right hand man, unfortunately, he went back to his hometown. He was done with Quesnel, but so I went to another person in our firm last year with a proposal that I need to fill Jordan's spot. Her name's Stacy, and she liked the idea. So that was just basically, we just started really officially last November. So that's still pretty fresh, but we took on some really high level coaching when we did that. And now we're just, like I said, we're working on systemizing everything, basically automating everything that we can so that we can focus on what's important, which is, making our clients happy and scaling out our business. So. Yeah.
Smart. How do you go about like the automation part of it? How do you pick what you're gonna automate? What's the process behind it?
Yeah, so I did a lot of research on on this particular thing. I mean, ChatGPT has become a realtor's best friend because, I mean, at the end of the day, the stuff I learned from ChatGPT would take me potentially years through mentors and trying to dig for that information, because I can literally just punch in all of my wild, random, questions. And it doesn't always give me the answer I like or the answers I think is correct, but it's like a soundboard. I can basically bounce stuff off of it. And a lot of times it comes back with stuff that is like just completely eye-opening and just like, yeah, you're right. It's 100% exactly what you need to do. So, I kind of started with that a bit. And one thing I figured out was my biggest thing was I wasn't really using CRM or task management or anything, when I just even 3 or 4 years ago. So pretty recently, I wasn't using any of that because I didn't really have to. People just came to me. Like it was just word of mouth and I didn't have to really put in a lot of effort. And I was busy enough just selling real estate that I really didn't have time to anyway. So it kind of was like a nice little mix. But now that we want to scale things out, we've changed our mentality on that. We want to have these systems in place. We want to, make sure our business remains consistent. So if the market does slow down, we're still going to have business there, that kind of stuff. And that's where we did some research and found that, there is obviously everybody knows what a CRM is, but there's something else called a task manager. That's the thing that realtors don't know what it is. You can ask most realtors, they don't have a clue. Like, what's task manager? Like, what are you even talking about? So that was absolutely the biggest pivot in my business in terms of making my life easier. Not even the team, just to have a task management system. So when I researched that, I looked at every single one on the market. I did all these demos. I spent countless hours with, interviews like these with people that were showing me what their system could do. And none of them could really do what I wanted except for Asana.
Okay.
So I took on Asana, and Asana is kind of like, raw code. It's like, here's this amazing task management system, but you got to make it your own. You got to set it up. And it takes a bit of know-how. So we did that. We set it up, customized it for what we needed. And the flow, like just from the very beginning of just getting started, setting it up right to the very end of like, okay, now it's working for us. It just flowed. There was never like a point where we had to stop and change everything. We just started typing stuff in, and it was like, oh, this makes sense. This makes sense. And boom, all of a sudden we had a finished product, and it didn't take long. So it was pretty cool. So task management is huge. And then, once you have that set up, it's very easy now to hire a TC. You hire a TC, you can put all your SOPs and everything into Asana. Everything, all the instructions are there, like however you want to set it up. And they can just click through checklists. They can read directions, everything built right in. Basically, anybody with a beating heart can now walk in and do your TC job. So that's, one of the huge, like the biggest changes in the business in terms of automation was just getting that set up. And now we're going further in. We're using Asana as our dashboard, and it's going to, go out to Google Calendar and enter all our dates automatically through Zapier.
Yes.
Zapier and Asana's integration is crazy. It can integrate into all sorts of stuff. You can integrate into your CRM. We're using Bold Trail, which is I'm with Royal LePage. It comes free with our package. It's gotten very good. So we're very happy with that. So we integrate, all our leads. We try to, wherever they're coming from, we've got multiple different lead, conduits. We're trying to integrate automatically as much as we can. That's what we're working on right now, with things like Google Calendar, Asana, and our Bold Trail CRM, so that everything that comes in is just boom, 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 it goes in its place. And then all we're doing is we're checking our dashboards. We're checking our CRM. Oh, we didn't call that person today, we call them. We're checking Asana. Oh, we're missing that task, we do it. And that's really it, outside of the actual, writing offers and receiving offers kind of end of it. So
and the day-to-day, everything is showing up on your dashboard.
Yeah.
Interesting. In terms of time blocking, how do you time block your days and your weeks, and to make sure you're hitting those successes on your dashboard?
Not very good at that, to be honest. I have my routines. I got 3 kids, so I'm very busy. I didn't plan on 3 kids. We had actually a kind of accidental third kid happen. So, I'm 44 years old now with a 3-year-old. So it's been really taxing on us. It's been really difficult. I mean, he's amazing, but our life is a little bit in turmoil in the family end of things, just because we don't really have time for anything, let alone, how busy my work is, let alone my wife's working full time, plus doing her master's. Like, it's just ridiculously busy. So we basically are just in survival mode right now. My team helps me with that, but I block out, my whole goal. And when I started the team, my whole goal was that, I'm bringing the experience to the table. I'm bringing a lot of business and systems and all this stuff. So, when my partner came in, she's kind of like the junior partner, and we're going to build off of kind of what I built. But my whole thing is, you're coming on because I need somebody who's a master of operations. I need somebody who's in the trenches. It's doing all the really high time consuming work, like showing buyers houses, opening doors, the evening and weekend stuff that's going to really drain me because I have such a busy family, and that kind of stuff. So my goal was to basically get my work day down from from 80 hours a week down to like 35, 40 tops. And I've already done that. I mean, I'm pretty much there. So, so I guess when you ask me, I don't really have time blocks per se, but I do have pretty set interval of time that I work now. I'm basically a 9-to-5 realtor. I don't start work till 9, and I work till 5, and I take a break to pick my kids up from school between like 2:25 to 3:15. So, if you calculate the hours, I think I'm putting in maybe 7 a day. So that's at my 35-hour work week, which is exactly what I was kind of shooting for. And of course, I'm still on my phone at night sometimes, but it's not like it used to be, because my team my team, my two kind of my buyer's agent and my master of operations, they're handling most buyers, which buyers, let's face it, they're mostly evenings and weekends. They're working in the day.
Wow.
So they're handling majority of that stuff. So I don't really get the evenings and weekends to, they're not too bogged down. It's more answering questions on my team, helping them through a transaction at night rather than me running out and having to show houses. So
Yeah, sounds like you have a strong foundation to be able to have that life that
yeah,
gives you the sanity that you need.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So, yeah. And I mean, the goal is to continue working on that to the point that if we can automate everything to the degree that I want to, I mean, I could maybe ramp myself down to 20 hours a week and still be, we're still as efficient as we've ever been. So, that's the goal, is to try to have a life while being a realtor, which is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. And then your whole team will benefit from that themselves as well, to have all these processes.
They're going to have a life too. They can go on vacation whenever they want. They know it's looked after, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. You talk about you're hiring a coach for this year. Is it an AI coach you created, or is it a real coach?
No, it's very expensive, pretty high level coaching. Like our coach actually got started with Keller Williams before it was anything and built out Keller Williams. So she's very, very like very high level stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, with our coaching, we've tapped into that because we're looking to kind of scale things out. Nobody, like I said, was really talks my language. And when we hired this coaching, it's all still pretty fresh, but we walked into a Zoom meeting the other day where everybody was talking my language. And I was like, it was very enlightening. It was like, like every single person in that room, they call it a mastermind summit thing. So only the top producers are allowed in that room essentially. And these are all high level like teams that are probably way bigger than mine, or they're running big brokerages down in the States or something. So that was very enlightening because we could now talk the language about, here are our pain points. And everybody's like, oh yeah, like I was there a couple of years ago. This is what I did. And so all of a sudden in an hour's time, I solved problems that I've been working on for the last 10 years. Like just unbelievable power there. I feel like once you hit a certain level in your market, like if there's nobody above you, like how do you figure out where you're taking this? And like, so I think we've now kind of figured that out, and that was also very valuable. So for somebody like me that is kind of stuck, kind of, we want to grow, we want to get better, but we don't really know how to do it because there's nobody that can really mentor us from here. Like we're maxed out. We have to kind of now reach out of our marketplace to find that. Like the coaching solved that for us. It seems, like I said, it's still fresh, but like I said, that one, like the first mastermind summit we had, there's one every month, which was just a few days ago. Like I said, it solved problems that I've been working on for years. So yeah.
I love it. Being surrounded by other realtors or teams that are actually achieving your levels or higher, and that it can help you having something to look up to and expand your business that way.
Totally. And they can talk our language. Like I said, when we're talking about task management and, should you have a transaction coordinator first? Should you have marketing admin person first? Like who should you hire first? How many buyer's agents should you have? How many leads do you need for each? But like all these questions that are very difficult to answer unless you've actually done it before. These guys are in a room going, yeah, this is easy. This is what you do. This is simple. So yeah.
I love it. What would you say is a one mindset shift that changed everything for you? At what point did that happen?
Well, I mean, I think I already went over that. Kind of when I got to a point, again, we did 120 sales in Grand Prairie the year we left. So we did very well. But it was a lot. And then with our kids, it was a lot. So like we're quite high stress. And I think most realtors that get to that level you can't do that by yourself. Like if you are, you're going to, it's going to, like what happened to me is going to happen to you. And that's what happened is we moved to Quesnel, and, I got into that 120 range pretty quickly again, but I didn't have any help. I did 120 sales by myself one year. And that's the year I like my brain just short circuited. So, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest, kind of pivot there is
mindset shift, I guess.
That was my biggest mindset shift is like, it's great. Like I love the money and I love what I do, but it got to a point where it's just overloading. It just wasn't fun anymore. So that's where it was like, how do we fix that? Well, you need help. That's it. It's that simple.
That simple. Love it. Love it. Yeah. When you're thinking about your week and what you do, I know you don't time block. We talked about that. But if somebody was to shadow you for a week, what would surprise them about how you do your week?
I mean, it'd be tough for them to shadow me. I operate quite differently.
Okay.
I don't go into the office. I have a pretty bad attitude about that. My broker would think I have a bad attitude. Some agents might agree, but when I go into the office, I'm bombarded with people questions running in my door, this, that, the other thing. We have new agents that, would maybe love to have some mentorship. And it's like, I already have a team that I'm pretty busy with that right now. So I love to mentor. My door is an open door, but like when there's multiple people coming in all day every day, the reception's coming in, like my marketing team's coming in, my TC's asking me questions, basically I get nothing done, like nothing. Like I'm just sitting there answering questions, and when I'm not there, they're not asking me the questions, they're just doing it for themselves, but I'm getting stuff done.
Yeah.
So if somebody shadowed me, they'd be at my house for most of the day because that's where I work from. So I'm here in my house right now. This is I'm in a basement dungeon because I got kicked downstairs because of our accidental third child. But so I've been punted to my dungeon room here in my office. But I mean, I spend a lot of time here. You can't see it, but I have 3 screens wrapped all the way around me.
Oh.
So anybody that doesn't have 3 screens as a realtor, I mean, especially if you're a top producer, you should probably get on that. But it makes you much more productive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of it'd be tough to shadow me. I mean, yeah, you're gonna spend half, most of the morning on the computer just catching up on paperwork. I try to do a river walk, which is 5.2K in Quesnel every day. I usually end up doing it like 3 times a week, but so I'll try to do that for like an hour. So I guess I'm actually down to more like 6 hours now that I think about that.
No, yeah.
So I mean, when I'm busy, I kind of fall off on that a bit. But so yeah, we do it probably an hour walk in the morning at some point. We do a little bit of work on the computer. Have a quick lunch. Sometimes I only have time for lunch, so it's like we go to Booster Juice and get a smoothie or something just to get me by. But and then usually the afternoon from 1 till 2:30, I'm booking a couple appointments. And then after that, I'm usually coming home and I'm doing my CRM stuff after that. So I guess I do kind of time block, but it's not set in stone. But that's kind of my routine I've just kind of fallen into in the last couple months here. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. So if somebody shadowed you, they would be surprised to know that you're not in the office. That's
Yeah, basically never. I mean, I'm in the office for team meetings. I'm in the office for buyer consults, seller consults, those sorts of things. And I do stop in from time to time when I drop stuff off, or when I just feel like maybe one of my teammates is struggling a bit, I'll be there a bit more, that kind of stuff. But I try to avoid it because my productivity goes way down. So
yeah, smart. Knowing that is half the battle, right? No.
yeah. Now that being said, that's not for everybody. You have to be a self-motivator and a self-starter to be good at that. And if you're not, do not do it that way. You need to go to the office.
Yes.
I've been doing this long enough that I know how to be productive, and I'm a self-starter. But if you didn't have those strengths, then don't do it.
I love it. You talked about having your marketing team and being up there in terms of tech and marketing for your market. What is it that you're doing that's working really well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that when we came to Quesnel, we didn't expect it to be so strong on social media. And we found that it was actually even stronger on social media than any other city we'd ever lived in. So the smaller communities, I don't know if it's just Quesnel, but I think it's probably pretty true for most small communities, is that when you know everybody, you're all on social media because it's just easy conduit to communicate. So that's one of the things we really went hard on, is just social media marketing, which we started with just, some of the nicer listing pictures, posting some carousels with some, just, a bit of a write up about it and check it out kind of thing. And then we boost it, we spend money on it. And because we have a smaller market, we could hit the whole town for like a few bucks. It was pretty easy to do. And as things have adapted and grown now, I mean, we're still doing the same thing. We've just gotten a little better at it, I guess. We use Chat GPT a lot for just making really nice, fancy, eye appealing descriptions. We use Canva to, beautify our pictures and, put nice captions like new listing and stuff on our pictures that are eye appealing. And now we're even going further with short form video. So kind of like TikTok style stuff, like really quick, eye catching stuff to capture your attention and say, hey, this listing's here. If it fits your bill, check it out, kind of a thing. And we're going really hard on that. Basically, we're offering that on every listing right now. I don't know if we're going to continue doing that because it seems to be pretty taxing on us, but right now we're doing it for every listing just to see how it goes. And we've hired some freelancers to, turn those videos around very quickly. And so far it's looking pretty good. And the feedback and the just the overall result and what we get from it. It's like, yeah, it's like fire. It works really
Okay.
good. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. I love it. If you could use only one marketing tool for a year, what would it be?
It's just Facebook.
Oh, okay. Why Facebook? Tell us more.
It's just, I mean, it's still my number one business producing tool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely despise Facebook. I think it should burn and die. Like, that is my personal opinion. I think it's wrecking our world. It's wrecking our children. It's causing all these problems. People comparing themselves to themselves, and then they're going and committing suicide. Like, it's just, it's evil. It's evil. I'm not that religious of a person, but social media is the devil. I mean, that's how I feel. But like, let's face it. I mean, in business, it's like one of the strongest tools you could use. So, when I strip away all that emotion and personal stuff and I just look at the straight business end of it, I mean,
On the side. Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing better because, like, you can tap into everybody and everything with the click of a button and a little bit of money. It doesn't even cost you that much. Like, when you're doing $1,500 print ads in newspapers is what we used to do. You take that
Mhm.
$1,500 and put that in over even like 6 months into Facebook, and your result from Facebook is gonna be 1,000 times over what you would have got from those print ads.
Mhm.
Even spacing it over 6 months, like, so you're not even doing that a month. Like, so yeah, the tool is pretty obvious winner.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. It's like a dual fight between using social media, knowing that it's bad, but still
Yeah,
getting
for me it is. I can't stand social media. I'm not really on it personally. It's just for business.
for business and
Yeah.
not for children. Totally. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's not my thing at all. I despise it.
Nice. Nice. What is a top income generating activity for you? Something you must do to generate revenue.
um, I mean, in this market, it's a little different because it's such a small community. It was definitely just word of mouth. Like,
Oh,
just doing a good job paid me
nice.
back more than anything else did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. You talk about your marketing being heavy on listings. How do you win more listings?
Um, I mean, that's a good question. Again, my market's different. Like, if
Yeah.
I went into a bigger city, I'd probably have a way different opinion. But this market, it was just about providing kind of a fresh look,
Hmm.
and people would appreciate that, so they would just kind of navigate like
Yeah.
to my way. And then it's just a matter of having, I guess there's a lot more. That's just the first step, is to get them to contact you. After they contact you, I mean, that is where I guess your real money making activities occur. You got to make sure you're keeping in touch. You got to make sure that um, when you do get the appointment, that you're not coming in pulling numbers out of the freaking air. Like, unfortunately, 99% of the realtors I talk to do not even bring anything with them to a CMA. Nothing.
CMA. Interesting.
Nothing. They just go in completely unprepared and pull numbers out of their head because, oh, well, I sold this one, I sold that one, and I think yours is worth this. It's like, okay, great. I mean, a lot of people buy into that. They do, because you're the professional. You're supposed to know. And I mean, they
Yeah.
probably do know in their own brain, but to me, you got to back that up with something, like anything. So,
You come
um,
prepared. I love it.
yeah, you got to go prepared. So we have developed a pretty nice, it's fairly thick CMA booklet now, but that just helps them from, what to expect start to finish in the listing. And then also the thickest part of it is just looking at comps.
Mhm.
Here's a whole bunch of comps that are on the market, off the market, everything that's sold. Obviously we drive price from things that have sold. I have a really, really good CMA just routine that I've worked on over the years, that I've come up with. And I find my routine, I mean, it pretty much gets the listing.
Gets the
I
job
mean,
done.
not every single time, but I'd say
Well,
nine out
yeah.
of 10. We probably have about a 9 out of 10 ratio. If we get in the door, we're getting 9 of them and we're losing one.
Yeah. So that's a 90% converting rate. That's
Yeah, it's very high. Yeah.
very good. Very good.
And
You
it's,
mentioned
oh, sorry.
something interesting though about if you had to start fresh again, because you have done it multiple times. What would you do if you had to start fresh again in a new city?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really know, to be honest. It kind of scares me. We talk about moving, and it's like, to warmer climates or whatever, but that scares me because the markets out there compared to here, most of them are much more competitive.
Hmm.
So I think what I would do, though, knowing what I know about just video and how that's kind of taking over. I think that people need to get to know you and trust you. I mean, you're a trusted advisor. I mean, that's your sole job. I mean, it's really hard to explain to people what we actually do. Like at the end of the day, we don't really do anything other than we take our skills that we have and just use them for your benefit. I mean, that's really all we do. Mm-hmm. So, if you're going to get established in a new market and you're good at that, like you should be. If you're not, you shouldn't be a realtor. But if you're good at, that being a trusted advisor and having people put their trust in you and not letting them down, then I think that's what you roll with. So video is very powerful with that. I mean, if I wasn't busy selling stuff, I would be busy probably working on, video to let people know I'm somebody that's here and available and somebody that you can absolutely trust. Now, the content that would be the tricky part. How do you say that message? But I think that's where I would start with it.
Yeah. Educating and putting all your skills on the table in video.
Totally. Yeah. And providing value. I mean, that's a big part of it. I feel like a lot of realtors do too much educating and not enough providing of value. I mean, people don't care. Like they just don't care. Most of them, some of them do, but like that's a very small crowd. Mm-hmm. If you're educating, you don't want your whole video to be on just, the educational portion. There needs to be a call to action. There needs to be something you're providing that's valuable. And sometimes education can be that, but in most cases it's fluff. I call it fluff. It's stuff that people don't care about. It's like, oh, stage your house, you're gonna get more money. It's like, yeah, everybody knows that. Like, why are you doing a video on that? Don't waste your time. Mm-hmm. You got to provide something that from your heart is going to help them in some way, shape, or form. And for everybody, that's going to be something different. So
yeah, and it's for you and anybody from your team. I guess you bring different value.
Yeah, totally. Nice. Totally. So, I find people really value my market insights just because I have the experience. So, mm-hmm. Maybe that's where I can provide value is like, my market insights. Like this is what the market's doing. This is the hot sector, the cold sector. If you're a buyer, this is what you should be doing. If you're a seller, this is what you should be doing. I think those things all provide super value because it's captured for this point in time, right here, right now. This is what you need to be doing.
I love it. Very cool. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Probably from my mentor. I mentioned his name before, Ken Goss. He's now passed away, unfortunately, but he was he was in Prince George. He was like the number one realtor there for, I'm sure, many years. He used to tell me, if you're stuck twiddling your thumbs, not doing anything, and you don't know what to do, you've maxed out everything you do in your CRM for the day, and you just don't know what else you can do. He used to tell me, just start thinking real estate. That's it. It's that simple. So he said, you just go out and go walk around the mall till you see someone and go up to them and say hi and how you've been doing. And he said you'll find that every time that conversation usually just ends up in real estate. And then he says as soon as he'd finish having that conversation with that person, he'd notice he missed 5 calls, and he'd check his voicemails, and all of a sudden he'd have 5 voicemails, all new business that he didn't have an hour ago. So he felt that just the process of manifesting it in your brain would manifest you business. And I'll tell you, I've done it. And again, yeah. I'm not that religious of a person, but there are forces obviously that we don't understand. And I felt that he was pretty spot on. Like, yeah, if I go out and just think real estate, it just all of a sudden the business just starts happening. So yeah.
What a very cool way to magnetize. You're like a magnet. You bring
yeah, it's like a manifestation. It's like a spiritual thing. I mean, it's, if you believe in that thing or not, I mean, I don't know, but for me, I don't really believe in it, but it worked. So, I mean, there's something there. So, yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's even more of a statement because you say, I don't believe in it, but it works. So
well, I shouldn't say I don't believe in it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe in something. I just don't know what.
Yeah. So, yeah. Very cool. This is very cool. Thank you very much for sharing all of this. Tell us, where do we find you? Where do we find your team?
Yeah, so we're pretty much, if you look at the province of BC and you put a pin right in the middle, you'll hit us.
Okay.
We're dead center.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you. I think you shared a lot of valuable information for realtors, and anybody can gain value from what you had to share today.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks for the invite.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in the Sold Right Away podcast, where serious realtors come to think bigger, execute smarter, and win more listings. If today's episode challenged you, sharpened you, or made you rethink how you're running your business, don't just listen and move on. Subscribe, leave a review, share this with a realtor who actually needs to step up. And now, I want to know, what is the marketing bottleneck in your business right now? Is it leads? Is it brand? Is it visibility? Conversion? Consistency? Whatever it is, book a call with me 15 minutes at soldrightaway.com and let's build a plan that actually moves the needle. Until next time, work smarter, move faster, and go win your market.